Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time here. Today I am sharing 2 dinner recipes that are perfect weeknight meals. They're quick to throw together and they also use minimal ingredients. The first recipe is for pork carnitas, and I'm going to be making this in the slow cooker. To begin with, I'm just going to season my pork shoulder, and I'm just using some salt and pepper, oregano, and cumin. Now, I will link the recipe below that I was inspired by. I did not put the oil in it for the rub, but everything else I pretty much followed, but I like to eyeball my seasoning here. And you just want to make sure that you incorporate that well into the meat, like really press it in there before putting it in your crock pot. And then to that, you're going to top it with some diced onion and then also a jalapeno. You do want to make sure that you de-seed it unless you want that extra heat, and then also some garlic as well. Now I went ahead and did this part the night before I was going to cook it, so that way it was ready to go in the morning before I left for work. And so I'm just going to cover it with the lid for the crock pot and place it in my refrigerator, and then take it out the next morning when I'm ready to cook it. And then before cooking it, all you have to do is pour over some orange juice, and then I set mine on low and I let it cook for about 7 hours, I would say. And then this is what it looked like when it was finished cooking. I went ahead and removed the meat from the liquid so I could shred it and pull out the big chunks of fat, and then added it back into the crock pot. Now, I did go ahead and put some of this onto a foil-lined pan and put it under the broiler just to crisp up. You don't have to do that step if you don't want to, but I highly recommend it. It just adds a little bit of crispy texture to the pork. And then you just want to serve it with whatever your favorite toppings are. So I just did some sour cream and some lettuce, but if you had like cilantro, tomato, whatever you like, you would want to put that on at the end. The second recipe is for Boursin Chicken, and this could not get any simpler and could not be any more delicious. I'm just starting out with some chicken cutlets, and I'm going to season them with some salt, pepper, and some garlic powder on each side. If you weren't using the thinly sliced chicken breast, what you can do is just take your regular chicken breast and cut it in half lengthwise, so that way they're thinner pieces, and it just helps it to cook more evenly and then to cook quicker as well. Once you have that seasoned, you're just going to add it into a pan, and I'm just going to melt down about a tablespoon of butter with about a tablespoon of olive oil, and then we're going to sear the chicken on both sides. We are cooking the chicken fully here, so you do want to make sure that you're checking the temperature to make sure it's at 165 degrees, because we are not going to be cooking it later like in the oven or anything like that. Now, as you can see, there is a piece of the chicken breast that is a lot smaller, like the one is a lot smaller than the other 3. So that one, obviously, I'm going to take out of the pan before the bigger ones, because you don't want to let it overcook. Again, use your meat thermometer. That's your best friend here, just to make sure you're at the right temperature without going over. Once the chicken browns on the first side, you just want to give it a flip halfway through. I would say it probably took about 5 to 6 minutes on each side. And this recipe will be linked in the description box below, just like the first one, so that way you have all of the measurements that you need. Once the chicken is cooked, you just want to remove it to a separate plate, and then you're going to add in a diced onion. I think I did half of an onion here, and you just want to let that saute down until it becomes soft and starts to caramelize a little bit. And then you're going to go in with your chicken broth. So I'm using the Better Than bouillon, so I'm just adding in my water, and then I will add in the Better Than bouillon separately. I don't mix them together if I'm doing it in a preparation like this where it's going to be heating on the stove. So you'll see here I'm just whisking that in. And then once that is combined, we're going to go in with the Boursin cheese. And the Boursin cheese is like a really soft, kind of like cream cheese texture, but even softer. And it comes seasoned, so it has different herbs in it, and that's what's going to flavor the sauce, and it also thickens the sauce. So this is really quick to throw together because you don't have to let it reduce down like you would if you were using like heavy cream for a cream sauce. Because of the texture of the Boursin cheese, it just thickens up right away. So I just crumble that into the pan, and then I'm going to just whisk it well together until everything is combined and smooth. And then once that happens, I'm just going to put the chicken back into the pan and just toss it to coat, and then we are ready to plate the dinner. So I've had Boursin cheese before, and I think it's pronounced alouette, which is another cheese that's similar to Boursin, where it's a soft cheese that's seasoned with different herbs. But I've always eaten it just with like crackers. I've never cooked with it, and I was shocked at how much flavor it added to the dish and how it made it so quick and easy to do. And I love that it was such few ingredients because the Boursin cheese already had all of the herbs in it that we needed. So I'm curious if you've used Boursin before like this in cooking preparation, or if you've even tried it. Let me know in the comments down below. Once the chicken is added back into the pan, I also added the drippings that were on the plate and just stirred everything together and let the chicken heat up just for a minute to make sure that it was still really warm. And then I served this over mashed potatoes, but I think it would be great over rice or even pasta. But I hope that you really enjoyed seeing these two recipes. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe before you go.